Hey folks, Ollie Connolly here, Ollie at govnet.com, and welcome to this tutorial, which is going to show you 10 top tips to make your WordPress installation as hack-proof as possible. And so I'm going to be using this really appalling blog that I've pulled together for purposes such as this. And here's my dashboard. And so without further ado, the first things that you should do before you carry out any of these tips are number one, download all of your installation files, all of your theme files for your WordPress blog, back all that lot up, and then do exactly the same with your database. Make sure that that's all saved, backed up and what have you. And if you don't know how to back up your database, you can find out on my site. Just put in something there like database backup WordPress or something like that, and there's a tutorial that'll show you how to do that. And the other thing you should do is you should go to the site. If you're checking out this video tutorial, say on YouTube or Vimeo or something like that, you may want to go to govnet.com to check out the accompanying blog post, which will give you some of the exact data that you will need for completing some of the steps in this tutorial. Okay, so let's crack on. The first thing that you need to do, and it's pretty obvious, is to make sure that your WordPress installation is upgraded to the latest version. So the next time you go to your dashboard in your administration, what have you, if up here you see it says something like upgrade to the latest version, upgrade to WordPress, whatever it is, upgrade automatically, then do that, because one of the vulnerabilities you have is if you're not fully upgraded. Now, tip number 2 is related to that. If you go to your plugins and you go to your installed plugins, and as you can see, I've got the grand total of 2 plugins that I'm actually bothering to use on this test blog. There is a new version ready available for one of these plugins. Now that presents a security risk, and so it's important that you upgrade any plugins, and so I'm going to do that here. And just to show you the screen that comes up, downloading an update, unpacking, deactivating the plugin, removing the old version, installing the latest version, and it's upgraded successfully, and then it's reactivating the plugin, and the plugin is reactivated successfully, and now you can return to your plugins page, and you can see that you no longer have these messages saying that you need to upgrade a plugin. So you've now upgraded your WordPress installation and your plugins. The next thing to do is to look at your table prefix, your database table prefix. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, look, I'll tell you what, just to make life a lot easier for you, let's use a cracking plugin. This plugin actually that I've just upgraded, WP Security Scan, and again on the website the accompanying notes will show you where you can get that. And once you have activated that plugin, you'll have this added panel to your navigation in your blog dashboard. Now if you click on the first tab there, Security, it will bring you to this page here, and that will say, amongst other things, your table prefix should not be WP. Now that is the standard prefix. When you install a blog, a WordPress blog, that is the standard prefix that you get, and it is a security risk because it's one less thing for the blog, for the hacker to try and work out. Yeah, if you've got a prefix which is different from that, it's going to be a little bit harder for the hacker to hack your database. So we just click there to change this, and we change it to something a little bit more imaginative. So I don't know, for example, I'm going to change that to 123 ABC, just for the argument's sake. Yeah, a couple of some digits and letters, mix it up a little bit, makes it a little bit more complex, and we'll start renaming that, and we've got all that done successfully. If we go into another tool I like very much to use is PHP My Admin. If we go in there, we'll open that in a new tab. We can see that our database prefix for our tables has changed, and so that's pretty good, that's pretty useful. Okay, fine. So that's your database table prefix changed, and that was number 3. Now, actually, one thing, just before I leave that, it has to be said that using this suite, using WP security scan, sometimes it throws an error, and it won't allow you to change your prefix. Now, that's unusual, but it does happen. If that's the case, go to my site, look at the accompanying notes that go with this video tutorial, and you will see that there is a workaround which I have laid out in detail, but I'm not going to do that in this video, because otherwise this video will be twice as long. But there is a way around it. It's not difficult. It involves using this cracking plugin, WP PHP MyAdmin, and it's really rather simple to do, but it does take a bit of time. Okay, so that's your prefix sorted out. And number 4, now this may seem like a very obvious thing to do, but a lot of people don't bother, is to change your admin user. Now, as you can see, my admin username is Ollie, with a little bit of a different spelling as well, to make it a little bit less obvious. But it's amazing the number of people that retain the default admin user, which of course is admin. Well, that just gives the hacker one less thing to have to think about. And so if that's the case with you, what you should do is you should go into your user page, make sure you have got administrative rights for a username with a different name, and delete the admin user, and there's just no point having that. And one other tip along this line is to create an administrative user with a different name to the one that is actually shown. So for example, that is my login, Ollie, yeah, with a 1 instead of an I, just to mix it up a bit. But my name, I'm going to actually display it publicly as something completely different, editor in this case, yeah. So whilst I log in using Ollie with a 1, what is visible is editor, and so that really does mix it up. It shakes it up. Any post I write now is going to show this nickname, editor, and this my actual login name, Ollie, which is there, look, is only going to be seen by me. Alright, so that's a great way to make it a little bit harder for the hacker. And another way, and this is actually point number 5, and this is very, very obvious, but a lot of people don't do it, is to give yourself a complicated password. So instead of having, I don't know, some pet's name or something like, I don't know, Rover, I mean, you don't want a password like that. You want something which is a bit more mixed up. You want, you know, I mean, you know, this isn't complex enough, but just to give you a bit of an idea, you can use some special characters and what have you, and just mix it up a bit, yeah, just to make it a little bit more complicated, and change that password. And so that's number 5. And number 6 is to hide your WordPress version. Let's go back to our WP security scan, and in fact you can see that the WordPress version for my version of WordPress is successfully hidden. And if you've got a recent, I think it's about a post 2.5 version of WordPress, your WordPress version I think will be successfully hidden anyway. But if you've got an older version than that, and you may need an older version, for example, if you rely on plugins to maintain a blog, and those plugins haven't been updated with a later version of WordPress, but you rely on those plugins, and therefore you need to retain an older version of WordPress. Well, if that's the case, your version of WordPress may well not be successfully hidden. So if that's the case, what you need to do is you need to go into this file, let me see if I can find, here we go, yeah, you need to go, this is the root installation with the root folders and files of my WordPress installation. You need to go into WP content, into your themes folder, and then whichever your theme is, so in my case default, you need to go to header.php, and you need to run a search. Now the actual search, again, you'll be able to find this on governor.com with the accompanying notes, but the actual search you need to make is for this line here: meta name equals generated content equals WordPress PHP blog info version. And that, for older versions of WordPress, if you just copy that, pop it into here, just run a quick search, see if it's there, and as you can see, in my case, it's not found. But for older versions of WordPress, it will be found. Just delete it. It's completely useless. It doesn't do anything. So just get rid of it, bin it, and that way you will have a slightly more secure WordPress version. Again, it's one less thing for a hacker to know about. It's one less vulnerability for you. So that's number 6 on my 10 tips. Number 7 is to ensure that WordPress database errors are turned off. Well, if you've got if you've got an upgraded version of WordPress, then this will happen automatically. And so if you know, my tip really is to just have these things as upgraded as you possibly can, and that way, for example, WordPress database errors will be turned off. Okay. Now, number 8, my tip is to remove your WP ID meta tag. Now, this is done automatically when you install this plugin, WP Security Scan, and so that's a nice, easy way to do that. And the last 2 points, points 9 and point 10, revolve around your htaccess file. If we go back to our security suite and have a look in here, one of the things it says is that the file htaccess does not exist in WP admin. Okay, so we need to create an htaccess file. htaccess itself is an extension. Effectively, there's no file name. There's the dot there, yeah, and then there's the extension, and we need to create one of those. Now, on my website with the accompanying notes, I show you exactly the detail that you need to put into that file, but here is one that I prepared earlier, and it has all the detail that we need to secure our administrative area within WordPress, within our installation. So I'm going to save that as htaccess, with htaccess being extension of the file, and I'm going to put that in my WordPress installation in the WP admin root. Okay, so if I save that there, and then if I refresh this page, that should change, and there we go, htaccess exists. And so we've dealt with a lot of tips there. We've dealt with all that stuff there and more. Now, there's one other thing that does need to be done to this htaccess file, and that's to add another couple of lines which I've got here in this second version of this file. So I'm going to overwrite that file in just a second, but before I do, I'm going to show you why I'm going to overwrite it. This refers to a vulnerability with your plugins directory, because whilst you want to be able to see what plugins you've got, you don't want other people to see what plugins you've got, because they could use them, particularly if they are needing upgrading and haven't been upgraded recently. You don't want people to see that, because there are vulnerabilities there. People could hack your site by using workarounds with your plugins. And to show you what I mean, if I was to go into my plugins directory using my browser, so I'd be going localhost, WordPress is the name of my blog, and then I'm going to go, there you go, WP content /plugins. I can see them listed. Look, I can see a list of my plugins there. Well, that's not cool. As I say, people will be able to use that information, and they can also see when you last modified those files, so they can see, oh, well, that one hasn't been modified in 6 months. I can probably hack into there, or what have you, work around from there, and maybe mess around with your database, and goodness only knows what. Okay, so the way around that is to go back to your htaccess file and just add these couple of lines. And so I've done this earlier already. I'm just going to save that as the file that I saved before, and just overwrite it. That's in WordPress WP admin, and there's the file there. So I'm just going to overwrite that. Yes, thank you. Okay, that's alright. And then if I go back to that plugins page and refresh that, there we go. Localhost WordPress WP content plugins object not found. It's throwing an error 404. So that's great. Okay, that's what we want. We don't want them. Yeah, sure. The 404 page needs styling, but the point is that we do not want people to being able to see what plugins we've got. And so that's it. That is your 10 tips from this tutorial to help you to secure your WordPress blog. The accompanying notes for this tutorial you can find up at governor.com, and just type in something like WP security and you'll be able to find it. All the best to you. I hope that's been useful. Cheers for watching. Bye bye.